The Meet Me for Coffee podcast is on site this week at the Journal of Commerce Inland Distribution Conference 2025 here in one of my favorite cities, Chicago. I'm excited to have a lot of speakers on the show this week, and we're going to be bringing some great content and hearing a lot of really great insights about what's going on in our industry and the broader supply chain. Hi everyone, thanks for listening in again. We are recording the Meet Me for Coffee podcast here on site at the Journal of Commerce Inland Distribution Conference. I am joined right now with Annalise. Annalise, how are you doing?
Good. Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Is this your first time attending the Journal of Commerce Inland Distribution?
Yes, it is my first time. So I'll be speaking on a panel tomorrow, and I thought I would check it out, but it's a good show so far.
Okay. What is your panel about tomorrow?
The panel's about automation, so how you can apply automation to your business, like what different customers are seeing, that kind of thing. So.
Okay. Well, before we go any further into some conversations, I'm already thinking of all of the AI related questions I might have for you. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Annalise. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Chain, and we have an AI assistant for freight ops that automates a lot of the manual work, specifically focusing on the track and trace process. So check calls, ETA updates, detecting exceptions, document collection. Pretty much a lot of that manual work that tracking reps are doing today, we focus on. And in terms of my background, I come from a logistics background. So my husband and I started the company, and we had a trucking company prior to starting Chain. So we're carriers in terms of our background. So we kind of make sure to design the experience for carriers in mind as well when we're building out the AI features for freight brokers.
Fantastic. So I'm sure you're going to get to some of these topics tomorrow, so don't give away too much, but maybe selfishly give away too much too. What are you guys seeing right now as far as some of the? You talk to brokers. You talk to a lot of brokers about AI. I bet there's we could narrow it down to a top 2 questions that you're getting asked right now when brokers are talking to someone about AI. What are those top 2 questions, and what would your opinion be on the answer to those?
Yes, I would say the top 2 questions people are asking is one, how do I evaluate different AI providers? There's so much noise in AI right now, whether it's in logistics or outside of logistics, so a lot of people are asking that. And then a lot of people are also wondering, in terms of ROI, where do you see the ROI? What happens to my current employees? Am I just going to come and, fire an entire division or entire team? So we get a lot of those questions as well. So I think, from our standpoint, and just in terms of evaluating AI providers, I think the best way to do that is just with customer references, seeing how, to getting out there, talking to other freight brokerages, and asking how are they using it, how are they applying it to their business, what are the results that they're seeing, and then in terms of the ROI discussion, I think it's not as simple as people think. You don't just apply AI and then just lay off an entire division. I think we're seeing it kind of expand more naturally, especially with the faster growing freight brokerages that are now seeing where they are able to expand their team, they're able to take on more customers without having to proportionally hire and scale their track and trace team. So.
Yeah, I really like your advice for that first one, because I think if you just go out there and Google AI for a freight broker, or even if you go to one of these really large industry conferences and go walk around the exhibit floor, you're going to be really overwhelmed, and I feel that's very tough to start with 100 options and try to narrow it down from there. Maybe thinking about people in your network that have similar businesses to you or similar business models. Would you say that you've seen AI be more, a certain AI tool be more effective in a certain, say, type of broker business model as opposed to a different business model? Has that varied at all? Is there, more niche markets that certain tools can serve?
I've seen it being able to, I think the solutions today are pretty applicable across the board, which is nice. So we see, similar tools being used across, different business models, different, team structures as well. So that part's good. I think it's being applied pretty uniformly because a lot of the pain points, even no matter how different brokerages are, they might have different processes, they might have different SOPs, but a lot of the pain points are the same. So it makes it easy to apply. You just have to make sure that you can customize it for their workflow, and you'll see the results if that's the case.
what is AI good at? Like, if I were just to like in a brokerage, like what are we seeing, like solid proof that it's good at doing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think if you look at like just the most mundane, like redundant tasks is where it comes in and plays really well. Not everything you need AI for. Some things you can apply just simple automation for, but I think a lot of that use case is this messy, unstructured data. A lot of it has to do with conversations as well, so that's where we're seeing a lot of it apply. Like, a human shouldn't have to reach out like to, on a bunch of different loads and ask the same question over and over, like, oh, okay, are you going to be there on time? Is your ETA still good? Those kinds of things is where it comes in really handy. And, logistics is so disconnected, so everybody's using different systems. It's not always possible to get that data fed in through API, to get it fed in through like another third party. So if people are providing updates like ETAs, arrival departures, that's something that AI can just easily take and then update the TMS automatically. So,
yeah, I think you mentioned unstructured data, and isn't that one of the challenges that we kind of initially, because AI's been around for a while, right? But we had to kind of like figure out how to give like the AI agents access to data that it could actually consume. And I think like in our space, specifically logistics and transportation, we just weren't, like a few years ago, we weren't quite ready for that with a lot of our like TMS systems or things like that. So have you seen kind of the other parts of this industry kind of advance to make room for AI to come in and be able to do more within our systems? Yeah,
it's a great question. I think different systems have gotten a lot more open in general, which is great. So previously you would see where like it might be very difficult to integrate with a TMS, or it might be difficult to integrate with like other third-party providers, different softwares that people are using, but it's changed a lot. I think as long as you do have access to that data, that's probably one of the most important aspects for AI, because you can't automate things properly and the AI can't make proper decisions if it doesn't have the same exact tools that team members are using. Like, if you think about what employees are doing today, they might be looking in a transportation management system, they might be looking at different tracking providers, they might be looking at like pricing data. There's just so many different tools, and if the AI doesn't have access to that, it's not going to be able to make decisions and perform as good as a team member for obvious reasons. But I think we're seeing that change. Providers are becoming more open. People are starting to implement and take like API accessibility a lot more seriously. So it's been a game changer just in terms of being able to give the AI the same tools that team members use. So.
Awesome. And then that second part you brought up when I asked about, the two questions was ROI. So I feel like one of the places that, I guess one of the earliest examples of traction and automation in the broker space was automated pricing, like API pricing, dynamic, whatever it was called, dynamic pricing, right? And I feel like that got traction and buy-in so fast because we were talking about like, hey, win more freight, like make more money, like increase your revenue. And now I feel like I see more AI tools focused on not necessarily winning you new revenue, but like reducing your cost to operate so that the revenue you have is maximized.
Yeah.
Is that where we're looking when we're trying to do like an ROI analysis on AI tools?
Yeah. I think like if you just look at freight brokerage margins, like it's getting compressed both top and bottom. So you have labor costs are increasing, so those prices are going up, but then at the same time, the freight recession is never ending, right? So you have like rates that are down as well. So I think a lot of people now are looking to maximize their margin by taking a look at like, okay, for like, for the freight that we're doing, do we really need like this entire team that's doing the same work over and over? As we're scaling, like how can we reduce those costs so when we bring on a new customer, we don't have to bring on like a bunch of track and trace people as well. So I think now it's coming down to that more operational piece where people are looking for better ways to kind of reduce, I would say, like the squeeze on that margin from operational side and a labor side.
Awesome. Can you tell me a little bit more about what Chain is doing specifically within this automation? You talked at the beginning about how you guys are really playing in this track and trace space, and so what does that look like for an organization who comes to you and says, what does this mean for us? Like, how will this change our operations? Are we going to have to, remove people or restructure teams? Like, what does that journey look like for brokers coming and saying, hey, we want to explore adding this type of automation to an operation?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I would say a lot of the focus was on ROI. So earlier on, there was a lot more questions like, okay, I'm going to implement this technology, I'm going to like add this cost, but I'm not going to instantly fire people. So then like, where is that cost savings? But I think people are starting to understand now that like you do have to implement AI, like people are going to implement it, they're going to be able to grow a lot faster. So when you look at the ROI, you can't just look at it like, okay, I'm adding a cost and like I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to be able to offset that proportionally with employees. I do think it does come down to adopting technology. Like this technology is moving so fast that the people that aren't using it are going to be left behind. So one of our customers actually went from like 2 million per head count to 4 million per head count. So that's just an example, like after implementing Chain, that they were able to grow a lot faster with the same head count, but it wasn't something that they saw on day one of implementation. Right. It was something that, you kind of see over time. So I think people are starting to realize that, and it's becoming less about ROI and it's becoming more about like, we see what this technology can do for our organization. Like we know this is something that, this is where the industry is going and that we need to implement it.
More of that strategic investment in the long-term vision.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really big supporter of that specific topic, where in a brokerage, and so compare carrier, you come from an asset carrier background, they've been in a tough market, so what are they doing? They're trying to be really efficient with their how they're buying their diesel fuel, how they're subscribing to maintenance, are they paying attention to ELD programs, and they're just looking to like save pennies and be smart with their operations. Well, it's the same in the brokerage space right now too. It's like forward thinking, like are we being as lean and optimized as possible so that when I get that new award, I don't have to go immediately offset it with a salaried head to be able to like manage 100 more loads a month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's becoming less like, you can stick to that like very strict ROI analysis as long as possible when implementing new technology, but at some point it kind of falls apart. And then at the point at which it falls apart, then it's already like the industry has shifted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think if you could take some confidence in looking at like the broader like stock market, even if you will. Like a lot of big companies went out, rolled the dice, and said AI is an investment we have to make. Yep. And there was a lot of money put into like intellectual properties across the global economy in the last couple of quarters. And so there's a lot of people out there that are very confident in the trajectory of machine learning and AI and how we're going to be using that agentic AI. So I don't think like anyone's calling anyone crazy at this point for exploring automation solutions. It's kind of like you're almost crazy if you're not looking at it, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think that one of the differences for this, I wouldn't call it like a hype cycle, but it is in a way. I think one of the differences is that now people have AI like on their phones. They're using ChatGPT. So when you communicate with ChatGPT, you instantly see the power of it, and like you can't deny like how insane it is that like we're talking to computers, that we've shifted from using Google search, like a lot of us, to now using AI for that. So I think when people now see the power of it and they're able to see that, it makes it like a lot more clear how it's going to impact their business over time.
Yeah. In your personal life, because I used AI to make my first grade soccer coaching like practice schedule, because I've never coached soccer. I'm coaching a soccer team, and I literally was like, AI, can you please make me a 45-minute practice outline? And it was like, here's all the things you can do, and I'm like, fantastic.
And it does it like exactly to spec. You're like, this is great.
How long you should do it, how to explain it to them. I know. It's like that personal life assistant we all didn't know we needed until we experience it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else that you think, like, I'd like your thoughts on end of year. We're closing out 2025 here soon. October starts Q4, and then we're on into 2026. What do you think would be like your advice to a broker out there who is in some form or way currently exploring automation and AI and trying to decide what they need to get up and going? Because I feel like a lot of people, it was either on the 2025 docket or it's a priority for 26. So what advice would you give them as they're going through that?
Yeah, I think there's two angles to it. One is like just be open to exploring different solutions. you don't have to like commit to anything, but I think it's just good to kind of keep your pulse on, what are the different options out there. So that's one side of it. But then the other side, and that's just more exploratory and kind of educational and knowing what's out there on the market. And I think then once it comes time to seriously, make a decision on a different provider, then really understanding the use case. I think like a lot of people make the mistake of just saying like, I need to implement AI because everybody's doing it and, the industry is going there. That's great to have that knowledge and like to have that awareness, but like, that's not a solution. Like you have to really understand what your employees are doing. Like where are your employees spending the most time? Like maybe for some, there's more pressing issues than check calls. And maybe for others, check calls is the most pressing issue. So I think really understanding what the employees are doing, making sure that if you are like higher level in the C-suite, that you're sitting on the floor, that you see what the employees are doing, that you see what those repetitive tasks are and like where is it going to make the most impact on your business. And then, further evaluating solutions, I think is the best way to do it.
Awesome. Great advice. Well, Annalise, what is a great way that people could connect with you if they have some more questions or want to talk more about automation and AI with you?
Yeah, so you guys can find us at trychain.com. Feel free to reach out also on LinkedIn. You can look me up, Annalise Sandhu. Happy to answer any questions, even if you're navigating through, making decisions on where you should apply to AI to your business, how to go about evaluating providers. Just reach out. I'd be happy to provide any answers and answer any questions about Chain as well. So,
well, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking
me.
Time out of your busy conference days to come talk on a podcast.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thanks everyone for meeting us for coffee. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Meet Me for Coffee podcast. We're recording on-site at the Journal of Commerce Inland Distribution Conference this week. If you like this episode, be sure to check out our channels where we'll have multiple others published here this week with content from the show. And in just a couple of weeks, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming, discussing where freight markets and economics meet. I hope you guys can meet us for coffee.